Hey folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER. Today I have a review and installation of these new center burners that are coming from Gooniac's RCEDF Creations. Check it out on Facebook. You can also check out his YouTube channel, which is Gooniac33. And of course on RCINFORMER here, I'm going to have probably lots of reviews of some of these different center burner kits to add to your airplanes. Of course I have the F-14 Tomcat back here, and it's a twin, so I got two of these to install. And this is the setup, folks. What you get there from Ray is you get this this wire harness package, and it's all complete just the way you see it. It's ready to go. These are the main components, the center burners with all the LEDs in there, and these are the new style ones that are all carbon fiber, very lightweight. They're not as heavy as I think the older metal ones were, but you can see there's just two set screws, lights installed, and these are ready to just pull your cone off the back of your stock fan, and with the two screws, and then just install these over top, run the wires, and that's it. Now the harness runs all the way across here. One of the nice things too is that I think these are all measured for the Tomcat, so they're measured for whatever you get, whether you have a single burner or whether you have one engine or two engines or whatever. But they're all modular, which is nice with these JST style connectors, I think is what they're called. So if you ever need to remove one and replace it or whatever, it's kind of nice because it's all modular. But you have your two center burners here, your wiring harness, that runs all the way to it. And then right here you've got your control board. So real simple, folks. The lights come on as the burner engages or it gets a signal, and you'll see. And then you have a switch, which probably not going to be used too much. And then you have this that goes into the throttle channel. And you can Y harness that into any throttle channel. And then you have this for your battery. This connects to your up to 6-cell battery. You can see where the wire leads come in there. It only runs off of 3-cell. But that's it. It's just a bolt-on installation here, folks. Very easy to run this and install it in just a couple of minutes. So let's go ahead and we're going to light this thing up so you guys can see what this looks like. What I'm going to use this to light this thing up, just to show you these guys, is just this Turnigy servo tester. And I want to plug all this stuff in. You can see I have this all set up. I'm just going to plug this into one of the output ports right here with the polarity correct, hopefully, if I can see that on the camera. I'll wind that back down, and then this just plugs right into your battery. It's that simple. So you can test this. If you're going to test this with a servo tester the way I have it, you do have to have a separate power source just to drive the servo tester, but this really just plugs into your battery. I'm going to run this on my Admiral 6000 that I'm just going to plug in off camera, and it just plugs right here. Actually, I'll see if I can do this on the camera here. Just going to plug this into the output lead here, or your balance connector, and I'll put that battery aside so I don't knock the whole airplane over. And then that's about it, guys. You can just test it right here. Let's see how it works. When it gets to about half throttle, it should light up, and there you go. You got your lit up burners, and as you increase throttle, they go to max brightness. So you can see they go from kind of half burner all the way up to kind of full light. And they're super, super bright. You do want to be careful not to look at these things directly because they are super, super bright. These are going to look excellent in the tailpipe of the Tomcat. So anyway, with that, folks, let's unplug this and we'll get everything installed. The first thing you're going to do to install this thing is just remove any hatch cover you might have. Remove your 4 screws that hold your fan in place. You may even want to pull your leads off depending on how easy or difficult it is to change this, and you may not need to do too much of it. And then just go ahead and just pull your fan out of there. And then just remove your cowl. I just used an Allen's head screwdriver, Allen branch here. Just removed your old cone. Okay, just pop that thing off, and you'll see there's some tabs. Now these are all maybe a little different, but most of them are about the same. And this is the FREEWING version, of course. So what you're going to do at this point is just take your new burner. You're going to set it up on top here, and you can use any of these 4 tabs. You can see the old screw impressions there. And you're going to line this up in such a way that where that wire is sticking out, it favors pointing out of that little channel that you see right there where the wires come, because we're going to run all these wires together. We're going to run these light wires along with the stock wires, and pretty much you just pop this into place. Make sure that your screw area is lined up with your flange there, that it's going to the set screw is going to tap into. Make sure you don't pinch your wires. You get that in, and really you just tighten up, get it all the way set down and tight there, and then you just tighten up your 2 screws, and you're ready to put this thing back in. As an extra added bonus here, I just added some heat shrink wrapping right around the wires and combined the light wires here with the 3 motor wires. Taped them up a little bit just so it's neat, and it goes back in. And now the whole thing is ready to go in. With the Tomcat, you do have to either remove or just pry out this center section here, and then you can see how easy the fan goes right back in. Just make sure everything lines up, all your motor wires line up, make sure this sits back down, and then you can just bolt everything down in position. Before putting the fan back in place, I decided to make a little foam block here, just a carve out, just to fill in that gap. I'm going to end up cutting some holes through here just with a hobby knife to get all the wires to run through there. You can even go so far, if you want to use the fan as a sort of a sanding template, so you can even, if you really want, just match the curve of the ductwork in there. But this will block up any of that space in there, and you can just, like I said, cut a hole through here, run your wires in here. I'll foam tack this into position. I'll run this wire down in there. I'll cut a notch and just kind of tuck it down in there so it's nice and sealed and we don't have any wasted air going out of that inside hole there. Additionally, before dropping the fan back in, you'll notice down here and also on the side here with your cowling on that there is a big hole there for the servo. I was taping that up before, and I know a lot of guys were taping that up on the inside with duct tape and, you know, running a rod up here. But the only problem I found with that is when I had to take this cowling off, the packing tape I used was so stuck to this, I almost had to break I almost had to break this cowling to get this thing off. So I noticed in there that if you look in there, there's some indentations there, and you can see them just running right along this line. It almost looks like the factory had intended to put like a Lexan or a plastic plate. So what I came up with was this right here, was just a little piece of Lexan. I cut it to shape to match the shape of that inside wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that thing in there. I'm going to foam tack that in place. I cut it to match. I already got in there. And what that'll do is give you a nice kind of Lexan cover around there that hopefully, you know, won't stick to the foam, or, you know, obviously you're not going to have anything sticky there. So when you take your cowling off, it won't get in the way. You do have to want to make sure that your metal part of your cowling overlaps this just a little bit. You can even bend this with some heat if you need to. Make sure it overlaps this so it doesn't blow this thing out of the hole. So that's just one thing to be real careful of. Here's how it looks completely installed, and you can see how nicely this whole thing went together. You can see the little foam block that I stuck down in here that glued into place. And again, it even matches the curve. We might be able to even see that on the inside there. It pretty much matches the curve. It pretty much seals up everything real nicely. All I did was took a hobby knife right here. I cut down there enough just so those wires plug the hole, and now there's just absolutely no gap there, and the cowling will close on that. I did not glue the foam around this curved edge, so this wire right here you can just pull up out of that edge there and it'll come up. But you just put your bolts in, your 4 bolts in place, and everything's in place. Even the plastic plate that I put here, like I said, I think the factory intended to do this. Blocks that hole. Make sure again it comes a little farther forward here so the air of the fan doesn't blow this thing out, possibly and block the back, or at least send this plastic thing out the back. I did have to notch this thing out just a little bit to fit the flange. Let me back up on the zoom there. There it is a little bit. And that'll fit nice and tight on there. Now let's go ahead and put the cover. You can see how nice the cover here fits on perfectly. This will fit down nice and tight. And you can see all your holes are blocked up here. Your holes are blocked up all here. You just put your 3 screws back on and you're good to go. We'll just take a look down in there. You can see how nice everything's sealed up. You got that plastic along the edge sealing everything, tucked under the fan on the left and on the right. We got our wire exit, and everything's blocked up, and we should get maximum thrust out of this thing. The next thing we're going to do is just set up the other fan just the way we did with this one. Just take the cone off, put this cone back on, just set everything up, get all the wires run. And the beauty about this is, again, both of these fans here are set up in such a way that they're modular. So if you need to take these off to install it to make it a little easier, it's just that simple. The rest of this I probably don't need to show you guys. It's so simple. You just run both of these wires along their channels underneath here. Now again, we did have to take the plastic cover off. We're just going to contact cement that back down into place once all this stuff is in here. But I'm getting this is actually a new Tomcat. I'm getting ready to go. But the rest of this, you just wire these down into here so you can unplug these if you have to, feed them through, plug this all back on the top side, and then you just want to find a place for your control board, Velcro it down or tape it down or something. and then plug these two in. This is going to go in your battery. This is going to go in your throttle channel right here. It can just be Y harnessed in with your throttle channel. So whether you have 2 engines or 1 engine, the wiring of this thing is the same. As we look at the top side of the airplane, I thought I'd give you guys a little preview of what the actual setup looks like on the top of the airplane and my wiring setup as I've been flying it. So this clip is a little out of sequence from the rest of it because we're actually going to test the afterburners after this. But you can see running the wires through the bottom, they come out here through the top, and you can see my PC board is mounted right here. I just Velcroed it in place. And depending on where the position of your PC board is going to determine what length of wire you need, and I added some. We'll talk about that here in just a second. I decided to put it here because I wanted to get it away from the receiver. I wanted to get away from the BEC, which I added a Castle 20 amp BEC because I put new tail servos in this airplane for a little more strength, and I thought I would need the extra amperage. But with the PC board mounted here, the 2 wires we just looked at, you have, and I can't, it's all kind of mixed in here, and I don't want to undo the thing, but it Y harnesses in with your throttle channel for your throttle control, and then your power wire again runs along here and all the way over here. Now, again, this is longer than stock, and you can see between these yellow heat shrink wraps here and these yellow heat shrink wraps right under here, I had to add about 8 inches of length of wire to get it set up like this. Now, you don't have to have your PC board over there, but I wanted it away from this. If you mount your PC board closer, well, then you might be able to use less wire. But Ray, if you're watching, I added 8 inches from the connector, from this connector for your balance port, all the way over to the red JST connector was about 11 inches. And from the white connector all the way to the PC board was about 13.5 to 14 inches. So in order to mount my PC board there, I needed a total length from the PC board to the white connector, again, about 13.5 to 14 inches. So Ray, if you're watching this, we might need a little more length here on the wire for the Tomcat just to wire it up this way, but again, that's a personal preference. Now this sequence, guys, is how I've been flying it. This clip is a little bit out of sequence, so in the next clip is a continuation of the last clip I just showed you, and that's going to show you just a test run, a test firing, a light up of the afterburner set working. What we're going to do, since the rest of this thing is so easy and I probably don't need to really show you all that stuff, we're just going to plug this in the way it was meant to be, just kind of like we lit it up before. And I'm going to run it with a servo tester just so we can kind of check out the cool factor of what this thing looks like. And we'll see how these things are lighting up. So let me run back here with my camera to the back here. And we'll go ahead and take this cover off. We'll kind of see how that lights up back there. You can see how bright that gets just looking in the side. You're going to get a little bit of light here through the side, of course, because that area there is clear. But let's go ahead and get the camera off the mount here. I'll pull this thing off, and we will take a look at what this burner looks like from the back. Notice one other thing I did here. I went ahead and painted the inside of this thing just with a brush. Painted the inside white, because white tends to diffuse the light a little better than some other colors. But you can see how bright that thing gets down in there. And we'll mess with this more. We'll show it to you at the field and everything. But you can see how those burners really light up back there. It's pretty darn sweet, folks. Real easy to install. Ray over there at Gooniac has a really nice afterburner set that's very simple to install, and will add a lot of nice light and illumination and afterburners to your jet. So anyway, guys, nice setup here. Once again, check this out at Gooniac's RCINFORMER Creations on Facebook and Gooniac 33, and get yourself a pair of afterburners for your Tomcat. So anyway, guys, I really like these. I'll be putting these in a lot of videos here shortly, and you'll see some in flight demos of how nice they really look when they're flying. And anyway, guys, appreciate you watching RC Informer. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel, and we will see you guys next time.